All right, welcome back to Super Ultra Budget Magic Online. This is a deck that I call Paradox Vault, named after its namesake cards, which are going to be the Oracle's Vault and Paradox Engine. The basic idea of this deck, I put this together based on the Oracle's Vault card. The big payoff is after you're able to get some brick counters on it, you can start just casting your library for free, which is a pretty nice payoff. And you can untap it and get extra activations because of Paradox Engine. So the slower part of the deck is when you're trying to get those brick counters on Oracle's Vault. I tend to try to put those on before I've played a land for a turn in hopes of getting through some of those activations and having another chance to do it sooner rather than later. In order to make the deck work, I've got lots of Mana Dorks, the Obenwald Captives, and Channeler Initiates. Those have the advantage of having potential to become bigger threats through getting rid of -1 counters on the Channeler Initiates or by paying to upgrade the Obenwald Captive. And then the Hedron Crawler is helpful because it's colorless mana, which is valuable in casting the Endbringer, which is your big payoff card. So Endbringer, when you're able to cast more and more stuff and end up getting stuff out on the deck for free, you'll be untapping your Endbringer in the meantime. And with the Endbringer, you're able to ping your opponent or a creature for 1 damage. You can essentially wipe the board with that in some situations. You can use it for card draw, and you can use it to prevent their creatures from blocking when you want to start swinging at them. I've got 1 copy of Rishkar Pima Renegade in the deck that allows you to make your other creatures into Mana Dorks as needed. I've just got the 1 copy because it is legendary. Being a budget deck, that's one of the more expensive cards in the deck. The biggest hit to your wallet's going to be the Paradox Engine. I've also got a couple copies of Combat Celebrant, so that if you're able to really fill up the board against your opponent, you can get in multiple attacks against them. Not to mention, when you're exerting the Combat Celebrant, you can untap him with the Paradox Engine and you can get in and do it again. Combat Celebrants are pretty weak on defense with that 1 toughness, so they are easy for your opponent to take out. The other tech here, Loam Dryad, works like a Mana Dork as well, and the Bloodlust Insider ends up giving you the option of giving everybody else haste just by tapping it, which you can do with all of your creatures if you're tapping and untapping to fill up the board on any given turn. The deck's a lot of fun to play. I had initially put it together when the newest set was Amonkhet, and the slight change that I made, I had actually put a copy of Hazeret in the deck, which didn't have any specific place in the deck. I just thought it was a cool card for the most part. After that card spiked after our Hour of Devastation Pro Tour, I managed to sell it for $10, and I was happy with that. I ended up just replacing it with a copy of Crash Through. This is a card that I really like. I was a big fan of Expedite and Slip Through Space, those cantrips out of Oath of the Gatewatch. I really like those cards. They are easy cantrips with upside. And this is also an easy cantrip with upside. And this one is easier to use because you don't have to have a creature to target with it. which can be problematic in some of the decks where I've tried to use Expedite in the past. So big fan of Crash Through, and I may end up adding more of those. This deck, we're looking at rotation here coming up in just a few weeks. A lot of this deck is actually going to survive rotation. The biggest hit it's going to take is the Endbringer itself, which is the big payoff. There are going to be other payoff options available in the new standard as far as big cards that you can cast for free off of Oracle's Vault and multiple activations of that. So it's a fun deck. If you want to buy this online right now, it should cost you about $11.58. Like I said, the biggest hit to your wallet is going to be the Paradox Engines. And it's a deck that I plan to probably adjust with the oncoming standard format. Hope you enjoy the deck, and I'm hoping to get up some videos playing it in the future.